Confronting an impersonator in the night. At the age of 30, I found myself seeking solace in the quietude of my house, tucked away in a small town in Wisconsin. Each weekend served as a respite from the clamor of city life that had dominated my formative years. Despite the allure of the serene rural setting, my home, with its vast property, bore a resemblance to the eerie backdrop of a horror movie. The neighbors, not in immediate proximity, contributed to this sense of isolation, and the town's low crime rate attested to its relatively small population. Friendships were a rarity in the area, but that was precisely why I sought refuge here, to embrace solitude and escape the pressures of work and interpersonal relationships. One Friday evening, shortly after settling into my rural sanctuary, a knock disrupted the tranquility. Opening the door, I was greeted by a man with a clipboard, a quintessential salesman. He inquired about my satisfaction with a security system, a service I had not invested in. Playing along, I declined his offer, humorously stating that nobody would bother breaking into my seemingly uninviting abode. Unperturbed, he delved into a pitch about recent break-ins in the area, a revelation that had eluded my awareness. Even after expressing that I lived alone and had no need for a security system, he persisted, requesting my phone number for a follow-up visit. To sweeten the deal, he offered to waive the installation fee on the spot. Intrigued, I shared my number, and he thanked me before making his exit. The evening progressed with routine activities, preparing dinner and indulging in a Yellowstone binge. However, around 11:00 p.m., an untimely knock pierced the silence, an intrusion unwelcome at such a late hour. Initially disregarding it, the persistent knocking heightened my concern. A third set of knocks compelled me to address the disturbance. Approaching the door cautiously, I remained wary of the potential horror movie scenario unfolding. With no response from the other side, I refrained from opening the door, instead issuing a verbal warning that I wasn't interested in positing a hypothetical firearm. The knocks ceased, and I returned to my couch. Shortly afterward, my cell phone rang, displaying an unexpected caller ID. 911 Emergency Services. Skeptical, I answered, and a man on the line claimed to be from the police department, citing a reported crime on my block. An unsettling feeling settled in as I requested the officers to show themselves at the window before I opened the door, only to be met with refusal. Doubt gnawing at me, I asserted my right to remain silent and disconnected the call. The same number attempted to call again, but I denied it and activated Do Not Disturb on my phone. Distrusting the authenticity of the calls, I dialed 911 to verify. The operator confirmed the calls were not legitimate and advised me to lock all doors, secure a makeshift weapon, and await police arrival. As I conversed with the operator, I heard suspicious activity, the back door knob being tampered with and attempts to force it open. Despite the promise of police arriving within 10 minutes, urgency compelled me to confront the situation. Threatening retaliation, I yelled through the door. The response claimed to be the police demanding entry. Through the back door window, two masked men with unsettling sacks on their heads were visible. Realizing they had been exposed, they vanished into the darkness. When the actual police arrived, a thorough search was conducted, and their presence served as a deterrent. One patrol car remained stationed in front of my house for hours, ensuring my safety. Reflecting on the incident, I deduced that the man peddling security systems was likely scouting for vulnerable targets. The subsequent 911 spoof calls were likely a ploy to coerce unsuspecting victims into opening their doors late at night. Visiting nearby neighbors revealed that I was the sole target on the street, confirming my suspicion that I was a calculated and unfortunate first choice for the perpetrators. The experience left me wary of opening my door to unannounced visitors, as the thin line between a horror movie plot and reality had been uncomfortably blurred. Unmasking the imposter. The night was shrouded in the mystical glow of the moon, casting its silvery light upon the town of Crestwood. The clock had just chimed 1:00 a.m., and I found myself traversing the winding roads of El Dorado, a secluded town embraced by the vast darkness of the mountains. The hum of my car engine echoed through the stillness as I became the sole wanderer on the asphalt canvas. As the fuel gauge dipped low, a decision was made to pause at a tranquil gas station. The air was thick with an eerie ambience, and the haunting howls of distant coyotes reverberated through the mountainous terrain. Despite the late hour, caution guided my approach as the possibility of unseen law enforcement prowling the roads lingered in my thoughts. After replenishing the gas tank and snacking, I resumed my nocturnal journey, determined to adhere to the speed limit. The sinuous road demanded unwavering attention, and my speed maintained a steady 55 miles per hour. The serene isolation of the night was abruptly shattered when the ominous red and white flashing lights materialized in my rearview mirror. A perplexing blend of confusion and irritation washed over me as I obediently pulled over to the side of the road. The once echoing silence was now replaced by the rhythmic pulsation of lights emanating from the vehicle behind me. It was my inaugural encounter with a traffic stop, and an unsettling feeling nestled in the pit of my stomach. The approaching officer, adorned in a uniform that deviated from the customary police attire, heightened my growing apprehension. As he requested my license and registration, something felt awry. His uniform lacked the unmistakable insignia of law enforcement, and his badge bore the peculiar label Criminal Task Force. In an attempt to assert my rights, I probed for the reason behind the stop. His response was elusive, promising an explanation that remained elusive. Skepticism fueled my reluctance to surrender my documents. The situation escalated as the officer persisted in demanding my license and registration. Persistent doubts about his authenticity lingered, leading to a direct inquiry. "Are you a real cop?" His claim of belonging to the undercover unit crumbled when he adamantly refused to provide his badge number, violating the standard procedural protocol. A mounting sense of unease accompanied my scrutiny of his red and white lights, conspicuously lacking the customary blue. Uncertainty clouded my judgment as he demanded my exit from the vehicle. Politely declining, I insisted on the presence of a supervisor, triggering an upswing in his aggression. His attempts to unlock my door and the escalating volume of his voice sent a chill down my spine. Refusing to yield, I rolled up the window, further provoking his anger. Trusting my instincts, I initiated the car and swiftly drove away. His shouted commands faded into the distance as I sought refuge in the glow of my taillights. Uncertain if my suspicions were valid, I dialed 911. Describing the unnerving situation, I narrated being pursued by someone I believed to be an impersonator. The dispatcher directed me to the Fraser Winter Park Police Department, assuring an officer would meet me there. The imposter persisted, tailing me with blazing lights. At a mysterious intersection, he abruptly extinguished his lights and vanished from view. The weight of realization hit me. I had been right. It was a fake cop. Relieved yet shaken, I arrived at the police station. An officer, anticipating my arrival, listened intently as I recounted every intricate detail: the imposter's face, his unmarked vehicle, and the enigmatic intersection where he vanished. After sharing my contact information, I left the station. Grateful I trusted my instincts and remained in the secure confines of my car. The potential consequences of complying with the fake cop were too chilling to contemplate, and the thin line between the night's events and a suspenseful thriller had blurred into an unforgettable tale of caution and resilience. A chilling encounter at Riverside Park. The chill of a late Saturday night hung in the air as my two female friends and I, during our junior year of high school, made the spontaneous decision to spend our evening at a local park. The clock ticked just past 10:00 p.m. when we arrived, finding a quiet spot on one of the familiar jungle gyms. Soft music played from a small speaker as we chatted quietly, the park bathed in the dim glow of nearby street lamps. Having frequented this park throughout my childhood and with its close proximity to my house, it felt like a second home. The layout was etched in my memory, offering a sense of comfort as we settled into the night. Little did we know, our seemingly tranquil evening would take a sharp turn into the unknown. As we delved into random personal topics, an unexpected intrusion disrupted our peaceful atmosphere. A large black SUV rolled into the parking lot, catching our attention only briefly. Naively, we dismissed it without giving it the scrutiny it deserved. Out of the shadows emerged a tall man, clad in a plain black shirt with rolled-up sleeves and a vest that seemed more police-like than the typical fishing vests seen in the area, given the park's proximity to the river. As he steadily approached, an unsettling stillness enveloped us. Instead of fleeing as instincts would dictate, we found ourselves strangely captivated by his presence. A whispered speculation among us suggested he might be a cop enforcing the town's curfew for minors. Our assumptions, however, were shattered when he surprised us by engaging in pull-ups on the nearby monkey bars, his grunts breaking the silence. A furtive glance in his direction met his eyes locking onto mine. Realizing the gravity of the situation, I snapped out of our collective trance. Without a second thought, I shoved my friends down the slide, and we sprinted away from the unsettling scene, finally using our wits. Seeking refuge, we found ourselves in a local grocery store, locking ourselves in the bathroom for a tense 10 minutes. The air thick with uncertainty, we debated whether to call our parents. It was then that I discovered the gravity of my forgetfulness. My phone was left behind in the park. Panic set in as we reluctantly decided to return, our actions mirroring the naive teens portrayed in horror movies. Upon our return, the man and his van had shifted positions, and a fire pit along the river cast an eerie glow. Fearful yet resolute, we scoured the area around the jungle gym for my phone, staying close to the illumination of street lamps. A friend suggested calling my phone, and horror consumed us as the call lit up the screen precisely where the van had been. Approaching cautiously, we witnessed a figure from the campfire running towards us. Panic escalated, and screams filled the air as I snatched my phone and bolted away, my friends in tow. As we neared the bridge, a vintage red car suddenly roared to life, blocking our escape route. Its blinding lights concealed the occupants within. Unsure of their intentions, we changed course and sprinted towards the grocery store. Glancing back, I spotted the man from the park standing just beyond the reach of the street lamp's light, his eyes fixed on me. In the safety of the grocery store's second-floor bathroom, we huddled together, overwhelmed by fear. Checking my phone, relief washed over me as there was no sign of suspicious activity. The incident left an indelible mark, prompting me to take self-defense lessons and carry a pocket knife, even though I acknowledged its limited effectiveness. Since that unsettling night, I have never returned to that park, severing ties with the friends who were present. The encounter became a closely guarded secret, shared only with my self-defense teacher. A fervent hope lingers that I will never cross paths with that eerie fake cop and his associates again.